The following video is intended for mature audiences. It contains horror elements, adult themes, and language that might not be suitable for younger viewers. Welcome back to another disturbing journey in the southern underworld. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please like, comment, subscribe, and share this devilish delight with your horror friends and fam. Engagement is essential, and it helps our little channel grow. The 1897 novel by Bram Stoker introduced a character that would become a cornerstone of the horror genre, Count Dracula. This figure has fascinated and horrified generations for over 100 years, embodying the quintessential vampire, alluring yet horrifying, inspiring fear while simultaneously representing humanity's deepest dark desires. The fascination with Dracula stems from his immortality, bloodlust, and noble bearing, making him an emblem of unbridled power, the ultimate predator hiding in society's shadows. This video will delve into the complex nature of Count Dracula. It will investigate his psychology, the societal implications he embodies, and the symbolic layers inherent in his character. We'll explore his origins, historical roots to psychological and supernatural depiction, to unearth what makes him such a formidable force in horror. Central to Dracula's threat is his insatiable need for control. This is evident not only through his thirst for blood, but also through his manipulation of others. He is a figure with immense power, both physical and mental, and this power directly ties with his ability to dominate victims. Unlike other monsters who instill terror through brute force or pure evilness, Dracula's strength lies in subtlety, his ability to manipulate others without them being aware. Dracula's control has an enticing quality. Instead of merely assaulting, he infiltrates victims' minds and bodies. This is particularly seen in his interactions with Lucy Westenra and Mina Harker in Stoker's novel, where he slowly saps their vitality, transforming them into extensions of himself. He personifies the archetype predator who patiently stalks prey from shadows until total domination can be achieved. Dracula's vampirism goes beyond predation. It is parasitic. He maintains his immortality by draining the life force of others. This metaphor of parasitism also pertains to how Dracula uses others for his benefit. He isolates victims, cutting them off from loved ones and warping their identities until they belong not to themselves, but to him. This facet of his character reveals a deep psychological need for power and domination over others, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. Beneath this outward display of control and confidence, however, lies an insatiable hunger that can never truly be satisfied. Dracula's immortality serves as both a source of power and a curse. Doomed to eternal life, he forever seeks new victims to sustain himself, trapped in an unending cycle of consumption and decay. His predatory nature, while terrifying, is also pitiful in its relentlessness. Lacking any real joy or satisfaction, his sole purpose is feeding, existing at the expense of others. This relentless hunger taps into a deeper psychological theme, the fear of death and the lengths one will go to avoid it. Dracula conquers death, yet turns into a monster while doing so. His immortality comes at the cost of his humanity. His existence raises questions about the cost of eternal life, whether immortality is a blessing or a curse. Stoker's novel provides little direct information about Dracula's early life. Later adaptations have filled these gaps, often linking him with historical figure Vlad the Impaler, a 15th-century Wallachian prince notorious for brutal warfare methods and governance tactics. The historical Vlad was an unforgiving leader who gained notoriety due to his preferred enemy punishment method, impaling on spikes. His reign was characterized by intense bloodshed, earning him legendary status throughout Europe. By associating Dracula with Vlad, adaptations suggest the Count's vampirism is an extension of his earthly cruelty. This connection implies that Dracula's monstrous nature was inherent from the start. The concept that Dracula's thirst for blood originated from his days as a tyrannical ruler emphasizes the idea that his vampirism is connected to his insatiable need for dominance and authority. In life, Vlad ruled through fear and violence, In Undeath, Dracula achieves similar ends through supernatural abilities. This link between human cruelty and vampirism adds a horror dimension to the character, suggesting the monster he became was always lurking beneath his human exterior. While Stoker's original novel doesn't explicitly link Dracula with the historical Vlad, it hints at ancient, dark origins shrouded in mystery. Described as a centuries-old being from a forgotten era, this only enhances his aura of dread. His existence defies natural order, making him terrifying. Whether as Vlad or another dark figure, Dracula's early life reminds us he isn't just a present-day monster, but an evil entity whose malevolence spans centuries. The enigmatic figure of Dracula, a character steeped in symbolic significance, serves as an emblem for a multitude of societal concerns. These range from sexual deviance to xenophobia. His capacity to taint the unsullied and precipitate their downfall positions him as an icon of moral degradation, and his very existence poses a threat to societal harmony. Central to Dracula's symbolism is the concept of the other, the interloper who infiltrates society and corrupts it from within. In Stoker's narrative, Dracula is portrayed as an alien from Eastern Europe who ventures into England, a symbol of order, progress, and modernity. The arrival of this foreign entity triggers a wave of disorder as he preys on the English elite, morphing their daughters into vampires and inciting conflict among those who strive to safeguard them. This plotline mirrors Victorian apprehensions about immigration and fears that foreign influences could dilute British values. Dracula's otherworldliness is not merely geographical, it permeates his very essence. He is depicted as a creature that defies natural laws, one who should be deceased but continues to exist among the living. His existence challenges nature's laws, making him an emblematic representation of all things unnatural. Stoker penned his novel during the Victorian era, a period marked by significant scientific advancements, yet fraught with trepidation about what these developments might imply for humanity's role in the world. As a character that transcends mortality, Dracula taps into these anxieties, fears that scientific advancement may yield unforeseen repercussions, or that man's attempts at mastering nature could inadvertently birth monsters. Sexual transgression is another theme encapsulated in Dracula's symbolism. His assaults on women, notably Lucy and Mina, are imbued with sexual undertones. His act of biting or penetrating the skin to draw blood is a metaphor for sexual violation. The victims often experience a blend of fear and pleasure during these attacks, suggesting an unnerving allure toward the Count's power. This dichotomy, pleasure and pain, fear and desire, echoes Victorian apprehensions about unbridled sexuality, particularly that of women. Dracula embodies the seductive peril of sexual liberation, a force capable of corrupting and destroying if not restrained. The Count's ability to convert his victims into vampires also carries symbolic implications. Once bitten, they morph into beings like him, immortal entities severed from the natural cycle of life and death. This transformation can be interpreted as a metaphor for lost innocence. Those who fall prey to Dracula are irrevocably altered, their purity tainted by his evil. Dracula's ability to disseminate his curse like an epidemic mirrors societal fears about contagions, both literal and figurative. It reflects concerns that moral degradation can spread like a disease, infecting the broader community. Hence, Dracula is more than just a character in Stoker's novel. He is a symbol of societal decay and unnatural forces threatening to destabilize our world. The enduring appeal of Dracula, the epitome of horror, is anchored in his ability to embody a wide range of societal fears. In Bram Stoker's time, Count Dracula represented the foreign invader, the subtle influence of the outsider, and the fear of moral decay. As time has passed, his image has been reshaped to reflect changing societal anxieties. Yet at its heart, his terror remains unchanged. He represents the fear of losing control and being overwhelmed by forces we can neither understand nor resist. Set against Victorian England's backdrop, Dracula's origins from Eastern Europe mirror prevalent xenophobia. The novel was written during a period when Britain was experiencing an influx of immigrants, There was a pervasive fear that these newcomers would disrupt cultural and economic stability and bring disease and moral corruption. Dracula's foreignness, outdated customs, and predatory nature play into these fears, making him a symbol of the dangers brought on by outsiders. Dracula's ability to corrupt innocence reflects the concerns of Victorian society about the deterioration of traditional values. The women under his influence, Lucy Westenra being a prime example, transform from respectable society members into vampiric seductresses. Lucy's transformation is particularly telling. She goes from an innocent figure to a symbol of desire and death. This shift reflects Victorian unease over female sexuality and beliefs that unregulated sexual freedom could lead to societal collapse. Modern interpretations keep Dracula relevant as he continues to reflect current fears. In an era where concerns about disease spread, globalization anxieties, and erosion of cultural identity are prominent issues, Dracula's image as a corrupting outsider still holds relevance. His ability to transmit his vampiric curse through blood takes on new meanings amidst the aftermath of ongoing pandemic worries. What makes Dracula stand out in the horror genre is his ability to adapt to different times and situations. Unlike many other villains who are limited by their specific settings, he has undergone numerous adaptations and reinterpretations, yet his essence remains unchanged. He is simply a creature of power, seduction, and death. Unlike many horror figures who rely on brute force or pure evil to instill fear, Dracula's threat comes from his intellect and ability to manipulate. He isn't a mindless killer, but a strategic predator who carefully chooses victims and bends them to his will using charm and supernatural powers. This makes him more complex and terrifying, as his evil isn't just physical violence, but psychological domination. Dracula's immortality further sets him apart from other horror villains. He exists outside of time, a being who has witnessed centuries and can easily adapt to any era. The enduring status of Dracula as one of the most persistent figures in horror speaks about his character complexity. He is more than just a bloodthirsty monster. He symbolizes humanity's darkest aspects, reflecting our fears about death, power, and the loss of control. His adaptability across different eras and cultural contexts has kept him relevant over a century, while his psychological depth ensures he will continue haunting future generations' nightmares. The true terror of Dracula lies not in his fangs or bat transformation ability, but in how he personifies our deepest fears. He is a predator targeting the innocent, a symbol of moral corruption, and a reminder that evil can spring from the most unexpected places. As long as humanity continues grappling with these fears, Dracula will remain a figure of horror, an ageless threat looming large over the genre. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.